Yes. What's happening, everybody? It's Wednesday night. It's 11 o'clock Central Time. That means it's time for Ask Weezy, everybody's favorite Ask Weezy themed show of the week where you get to ask me questions. I'm ready here. We got 15 fights on tap this Saturday coming up in London. A lot of good gambling opportunities here, a lot of really fun fights on this card. I've been putting together, working on this new prize picks template. I'll give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek about what I've been doing here. But it's an interesting card, and I'm really looking forward to breaking it down with you guys. And please let me know if you have any questions. Pop them right there in the chat. Appreciate you guys for hanging out live. Let's do this. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys here. And, oh, yeah, right there. Okay, cool. And I'm going to share my prize picks analytics with you guys here too. Okay. So what I did on the week off was I do have all of the fights, so sorted by weight class here, and I've got it in a database where I do all the time props from. So now I've created another database, which is this prize picks analytics sheet here, which is going to have benchmarks for each division. So right now we're in women's 115 pounds, but it goes into women's 125, 135, 145, and each one of these has every fight that has happened since January 1st, 2013. Actually, we got to escape. All right, sorry about that. It's got every fight that's ever happened since 2013 in it, and we've got all the stats in there. Fighter A stats, the Fighter B stats, the Fighter A work rates, win bonuses, and fantasy scores. And it's for DraftKings, for FanDuel, for Prize Picks, and for Underdog. And we're going to be benchmarking all of these divisions and all of these statistics so that when we go to Prize Picks and when we want to bet significant strike props, when we want to bet fantasy score props, when we want to bet takedown props or fight time props, we can know certain things based on the stats that I have available to me. And that would be, for instance, how many times Fighter A, the fighter that we have the prop on, gets more than X significant strikes. How many times Fighter B, the fighter that they're fighting, allows more than that many significant strikes. How many fights have there been since 2013 where the winning fighter got over X, got less than X in fantasy score, in takedowns? Well, now we have the ability to be able to do all that, right? Like right here in women's 115 pounds, now I have this little box here for 3 rounds, over under X takedowns, and we can find out how many of these fighters here. We know that 53 out of 244, or 21.72% of all the winning fighters have scored that many more takedowns. And the losing fighters have gotten it 40 times out of 244, or 16.39%. So you can kind of have an idea when they're saying, oh, well, this fighter A's got to get more than 2.5 takedowns. Well, how often does that happen? Well, now we know it's happened 93 times out of 488 chances. It's a 19% chance. So it lets you know what you're up against. It lets you know how many fighters have went over that number, how many fighters have went under that number. And we're going to have that for takedowns, for fantasy score, for significant strikes. And then we're also going to be able to do expected values based on what they're giving us. And the expected value for some of these things is going to be, for instance, for significant strikes, going to be how many does fighter A land, how many does fighter B absorb, weight the averages between the two, and you have an expected value for how many significant strikes are going to be landed per minute in that fight. And then you just multiply that by the expectation of the minutes of the fight, and it'll give you a good expected value, which you can compare to the prize picks prop to determine whether the expected value is less or more. We're going to have access to all these stats. We're going to be comparing all these stats to the props that are offered to us on Prize Picks and on Underdog in order to have all the data in one place, just like we do for the prop template for time props. We're going to be doing the exact same thing now for significant strikes, for takedowns, and for fantasy score, and for fight time as well. So I'm really looking forward to finishing up the coding that's going to go into this. But right now we see that number at 2.5, but we can change that number to 1, and then the numbers will change, and we will know now that 89 out of 244 get more than 1 takedown. 40 out of 244 get more than 1 takedown for the losing fighter. It's a 26% chance that you're going to get more than 1 take, and we can just change that number to 0.5, and we can get the new updating things there. So all these stats are going to be pushed into one template that we can look at for significant strikes, for takedowns, for fantasy score, and for fight time. So I'm really looking forward to building out the rest of this, but I'm about halfway there. Going to be working on that a little bit tomorrow, and I'm also going to be getting out to my Patreon members the stats for the Sandhagen versus Who Knows card in Nashville. That will be coming out tomorrow. So what's up to everybody hanging out here? All 17 of you guys hanging out. Please put your questions in the chat. Let me know what I can answer for you, and we will start breaking down this card. We got my guy Chris Colanzis is in the room saying, let's stack them like flapjacks, Uncle Weezy. Let's go. What's up, Chris? Good to see you hanging out in here, brother. Hope all is well with you. And ring a ding ding, you guys. My guy Lord Timmy, beautiful picture of De Niro there as Taxi Driver, as what was his name in Taxi Driver? Travis Bickle. Lord Timmy is saying cultivating and maintaining integrity in MMA starts with granting Uncle Weezy press credentials. We got the 100, we got the flex, we got the hashtag press credentials for Weezy. That would really be something else. I would prefer it if they would fly me out to Vegas for all the events. I don't know why that hasn't happened yet. I don't know why the UFC hasn't contacted me yet about judging fights, about being there to be a backstop for integrity for this organization. But they have not done that yet, Lord Timmy. But I think it starts now with this $5 donation, with this brilliant piece of work that you put out there. I think we really maybe can find press credentials for Weezy. Appreciate the donation, brother. Thank you for donating to the show, and maybe we can make that happen. We got my guy Victor De Jesus is in the room saying, "Oi, yes, what's up, Weezy in chat? What's up, Vic? Good to see you in here, brother. Let me know if I can answer any questions for you this week." We got my guy Gogo Flamingo in the room. Ring a ding ding, the $5 donation saying Lord Timmy is probably nothing more than a squire at best, but I can get behind hashtag press credentials for Weezy. Let's do it, man. Let's get me those press credentials, and then I can the hard-hitting questions that nobody's willing to ask. That's what your Uncle Weezy would do for you guys there. So maybe that we can make that happen. Good thing we got that mute button there, man. We got Kristen in the room saying, "Oi, hi, Uncle Weezy. What's up, Kristen? Thank you for hanging out with us tonight live. Let me know if you have any questions about this card, any of the fighters on it, any of the numbers. I got it all here. We got my guy True in the room, Chicago Cub fan True. Weezy, what's up, True? Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Brandon Gutierrez in the room saying, "Oi." And we've got Kristen saying 10 watching, 10 likes. You got to love that ratio. That's a fantastic ratio. We will definitely take that. Appreciate you, Kristen. And yeah, hit that like button if you're in here and you haven't done it already. Hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the great content that's coming up here on my channel. I will be putting out a greasy 4-leg parlay for this card on Friday after the weigh-ins. And if I can get some coding work done here, I might even have some prize picks plays later on that are data driven from the analytics that I've compiled here, but I still have a little bit more programming to do. I got to shout out my guy Monk Maddox, who helped me out with a little coding problem today that I was having. That's going to save me a bunch of time in order to get the overs and unders for a specific number. Now I just got to type in the number instead of changing the code each time I change it. So shout out, Monk. Thank you for helping me out with that. But yeah, we're going to get going on this Prize Picks template, and hopefully I can even have something for you guys going forward, a little Prize Picks play every week, a little short video for that you guys can hopefully stack cash tickets like flapjacks on Prize Picks and Underdog once I crack their code and figure out how to serve them up with a bunch of losses, courtesy of their Uncle Weezy. We got Brandon Gutierrez saying, who are your favorite sub 7K picks on DK? All right, that's a great question. So I was just in here on my lineups. This is my cash lineup for this week, you guys. It is up top, we got Aspinall and we got Andre Muniz. I've got Ferris Zam in there. I think he's going to be low owned, and I think he's got a good chance for a finish, actually. And then my underdog picks are Mick Parkin, Davey Grant, and Mark Diakese, but under 7,000. Paul Craig at 7,900. I'm not a big fan of. I think Feely is a pretty good option at 7,000. I think Kianzad is actually a pretty good option at 7,100. I think both of those fights are going to go for a good amount of time, especially the Kianzad fight. I think you get 15 full minutes out of her. But Stolyarenko, if she weighs in and she looks good on the scales and she makes 126 and it looks like there's no issue there, she's going to be the bigger woman. She's going to have a reach advantage and she's going to have a grappling advantage. She is the better grappler. So, yeah, we could see Stolyarenko be a high upside potential option. And because women's fights only finish about 40% of the time in the women's flyweight division for 3-round fights, maybe you get a full 3 rounds out of Stolyarenko. Not a big fan of Barberena, but I think if you want to throw him in there to get different and save some money, there's nothing wrong with taking that path as long as you don't have Muradov in your lineup. And then Tybura at 6,500 is the ultimate punt. You could really save some money by putting him into your lineup if you're not going to be playing Aspinall. And, potentially he lasts a few rounds and gets you some points, and then you can get 5 winners in there because you had 6,500 in as one of your 6 salaries. So there's a number of different ways to look at it. But if I was looking for a high upside option, it would be Stolyarenko or Craig, just because of their sub upside, but I like Stolyarenko a little bit better. We got Kevin in the room, and he is saying, hang on just a second, let me get this up here. Oi, Tio Weezy, keep up the good work. I appreciate you, Kevin. Thanks for hanging out in here, man. We got Addicted to Combat saying, happy London Fight Week, brother. Does Stolyarenko make weight on Friday? I mean, I think it's not very likely, but, when you have to, I think what could be interesting about this is, what if Julia just wants to prove everybody wrong? She knows that she's had problems, making 136. She's actually had fights that have been changed to 140-pound catch weights. So, it's very unlikely that she's going to make 125. But, I mean, she's aware of it too. So what I'm hoping is that she, kind of takes it personally, that everyone thinks that she has no chance to do this and that she's out there every morning running, getting that cardio work in, doing what it takes to shed that extra fat so that, when it is time to cut that water weight, that you really stand a chance to actually make the number without killing yourself, without passing out on the scale. So we're going to see. But if she has been out there working hard, I don't see any reason why she can't do it. She probably does have the weight to lose, but the weight cutting is brutal. It's very, very hard on your body, on your circulatory system, on your kidneys. It really works you over. So hopefully we don't see any kind of a disastrous torture porn thing where she's trying to make weight and it's just not even going to come close to happening. But I hope the fight happens no matter what. I hope maybe if she can make it to like 129 or 128 and it looks like she has no chance, they just tell her, stop cutting. We'll take 30% of your purse, but just show up tomorrow for your ass whooping so that the crowd can go nuts when Molly knocks you out. So, I mean, we're going to have to find out. That's one fight that, like, I didn't even tape because I was like, I don't even see a reason to do it because the information that I need the most is what's Stolyarenko going to look like on the scale at 126, because everything else that you learn outside of that could become null and void if that number isn't made. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But thanks for hanging out, Patrick. Let me know if you got any other questions for me. We got Tay Taya Paku saying, Oi, hey Weezy, what's up, dude? Good to see you hanging out in here. We have got Tommy Unders in the room saying, best of luck this week, Unk. Appreciate it, man. I've got some unders this week. I've got that Craig Muniz under. I've got the fight doesn't go to decision for, or I've got the under 2.5 for Ziam and Herbert at plus 165. And I've got an over as well. I've got the fight goes to decision for Diakese versus Alvarez. That is going to be a butt puckerer. That is for sure. We got Kevin in the room saying, what do you think about the 3 fights just announced for 294? So what were the fights that were announced for 294? Was it Hamzat Chimaev? I think I saw Hamzat is going to be fighting Paulo Costa, which would be very interesting. I mean, as long as they don't let Hamzat try to cut down to 170 again, because there's no way the Gourmet Chechen's ever making 171 again. But let's see, 294. Let's have a look. Makachev versus Charles Oliveira. That's good. And then we got, Hamzat Chimaev versus Paulo Costa. And let's see here. What is MMA Fighting saying? Oliveira Chimaev. Oh, and it's Ali Skarov who's going to be fighting against Imavov, huh? Okay, I like it. I mean, I think that's fantastic. Abu Dhabi, they're going to have Chimaev on the card, Ali Skarov on the card. Those are big guys in that Abu Dhabi region there. That they're going to be hometown fighters, so to speak. As Ikram Ali Skarov fought in Brave, Hamzat Chimaev fought in Brave. So, and then, Imavov didn't, but that doesn't really matter. So yeah, that'll be really good. I think that those are good fights. I think Oliveira deserves that rematch. And in that way you don't have Makachev moving up to 170 for another super fight. It's like, dude, just defend your title. You're the 155-pound champion. Defend your title. And so I think it's a good one. I think those are good fights, man. I'm looking forward to those for sure. Let's see here. We got Curtis Clark in the room saying, thanks for the MBS money line and sub last week on Pub Sports Radio. Yeah, you got it, Curtis. No problem, man. Yeah, I hit that sub at plus 380. I hit the money line at plus 145. I didn't track the money line. I didn't think I was going to get to that bet because I had no action on the card, really. By the time we got to the main event, I was like, man, I got to have more action on this fight. So I had a good feeling about my Bruno Silva, and it hit. So we'll take it, man. MMA Hedge Funds is in the room saying Molly McCann down to minus 190 is insane to me against an armbar or bust opponent. Yeah, not only that, dude, it's the fact that Julia, we don't know what she's going to look like on the scale either. Is she going to make the weight? But maybe the reason all this money's coming in on Julia is because people know that she's going to make the weight and she's going to be the bigger girl here, and that we've seen Molly McCann. When she's losing fights in the UFC, it's usually because she's getting taken down and getting out grappled. But Julia Stoliarenko is not Erin Blanchfield. Laura Procopio, who did it to her, was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. It's good grapplers. They're Taylor Santos, I believe. These are the type of grapplers that are getting to her. I don't know if Stoliarenko is even close to being on that level, especially when it comes to the wrestling. So I get it. Yeah, and Molly McCann, home crowd, she's always fired up. Even if it goes to decision, she probably wins it. So yeah, minus 190 isn't the worst, but laying juice on women's MMA is one of those things that over the long term, it's a losing proposition, and especially this year. It's been a bad spot. For every Aylin Perez, there's 3, Corey McKenna's that just go out there and shit the bed as a minus 200 favorite and either fight a game plan that makes no sense, or they just look like a shadow of their old selves. Look like, there's just recency bias abound in women's MMA. So we do get a lot of line movement, and oftentimes the sharp people can take advantage of that line movement. And yeah, it's if you're on Molly, now's the time to jump on because the price hasn't been any better than it is right now. We got my guy, Pub Sports Radio personality, Sharpie in here saying, when will I get a fucking 265-pound weight division in the women's division? Equality my ass, says Sharpie. Dude, you know Sharpie wants that, man. He likes the BBW division, and he would really enjoy watching those fights. I'm sure that he would. And he'd probably be, getting in the cage with some of them after the fights, if I know my man. So, yeah, shout out Pub Sports Radio, the Balking Dead, Sharpie, the king of the K-Prop. Good to see you in here, brother. Thank you for hanging out. We got Anakin Skywalker in the room saying Islam versus Charles too. Let's go, man. Let's get that one. That's a fun fight. I'm a huge Charles Oliveira fan, so I'm hoping that he can give a better account of himself this time against, a really, really tough out in Islam Makhachev. So we're going to see how that one goes. We got True saying, I got Molly inside the distance. Gets much lower. I'll get it the money line. Yeah, Molly inside the distance is probably a really good play because of that weight cut for Stoliarenko. That weight cut can affect you in so many different ways. None of them good, especially if it's a brutal weight cut in terms of your durability and your ability to be able to put on your best performance the day after that weight cut. So, yeah, it's a good line. I mean, and now it's getting even cheaper. So minus, now you can jump on the money line too, especially at that price. So I think Wonder Boy will move up to the main card now for 291. That's a great fight though. Wonder Boy against Pereira. I wonder. That's a good question. That's because that's main card worthy. But you know how the UFC is, man. A lot of times what they'll want to do is just put a really dope fight as the last fight on the prelims, simply so that they can get more pay-per-view buys. If that fight is really good, it gets people to be like, oh man, that was a great fight. Let's buy the pay-per-view, So maybe not. A lot of times, they'll put one stinker on the pay-per-view. I don't know why they do it that way, but it's just something that's been done. There must be some analytics behind it saying that, hey, we just make more money this way. So I don't know. We're going to find out, but that would be a great main card fight for UFC 291. It is such a stacked card. Let's have a look at it. Why don't we take a look at it? Have some fun here. UFC 291, which is going to be next week, the Poirier-Gaethje card. So, yeah, Poirier-Gaethje, Blachowicz, Pereira, Costa Aliskerov is off. Ferguson Green, Chiesa Holland. And, yeah, so, I mean, like, either they move Lewis versus Rogerio de Lima as, like, that between Blachowicz, Pereira, and Ferguson Green. They might move that heavyweight fight up there because Derek Lewis is a big name and they think someone's going to get knocked out. But in my personal opinion, you put Thompson versus Pereira in there, and then that way you can get El Kukui there in the third fight against Bobby Green, and then the fourth fight, Chiesa Holland, fifth fight, Thompson Pereira, and then you could do, the prelim headliner would be Lewis versus De Lima. It's a fun card for sure. And now we got Uros Medic who's stepping in for Johan Leones. So that's going to be a fun fight. Cachoeira versus Maverick. I got to redo my spreadsheet on this one. It looks like there's been some late replacements. But yeah, definitely a fun card. Can't wait for that one. And this London card is really good as well. Let's see here. Get these stats up. All right, Victor de Jesus saying, hey, Unc, please tell me what you think of this Prize Picks Flex 4-legger. Marcos over 68 and a half significant strikes landed. Muniz Craig under 10 minutes. Oh, the Muniz Craig under 10 minutes I love. McCann Stoliarenko under 12 and a half minutes like that. Vieira over 50 and a half significant strikes landed. That's interesting that you ask about Vieira because I was doing this on my, where do I think I got it here? Yeah. And there it is. Yes, Ketlin Vieira versus Pannie Kianzad. So Ketlin lands 3.24 significant strikes per minute. That's 4.49 at distance, 1.67 in control time positions. So that averages out to 3.24 when you consider that she's in control time positions 44% of the time, distance striking positions 55% of the time. Now, it's 5.49 distance strikes per minute that Pannie Keon's out absorbs. So she absorbs a little bit more than what Ketlin's used to dishing out. So right there, that's an indication that we might see a little more significant strike output out of Ketlin Vieira in this fight. So when I do my little formula here, which is the weighted average, the distance strikes per minute projection or expected value that I get, Vic, is 4.93. And we're looking at this fight going 15 minutes. So if we just take this, we did do that times 15, right there, we're getting a number of 73.9 significant strikes for Ketlin Vieira. So if this fight goes the distance, if these ladies spend about 60% of this fight at distance striking range, I think it's pretty safe to say with that expected, or I'm sorry, that's the wrong number. It's 3.61 times 15. My bad, Vic. That probably made you really excited. But if the whole fight did take place at distance striking range, we would actually expect about 74 strikes out of Ketlin Vieira. But because about 60% of their fights take place at distance striking range, and it's a little bit less than 40 in control time positions, we're going to get this number here times 15, which is 54.13. So over 50.5, we're getting an expected value of 54.1. I would like that over there. Marcos over 68.5 significant strikes landed. Okay. Let me see if I can find 722. There it is. All right. I'm going to cut and paste into this. This is like the very bare bones template that I have for this so far, you guys. So it's not great. Marcos is going to be the winning fighter or the top fighter. So let me do that. Paste that in there. And then we take this. Davy Grant. So I'm getting an expected value of 4.07 significant strikes per minute in this fight. Daniel Marcos, in a very small sample size, has landed 7.26 per minute, but Davy Grant, over a very large sample size, is averaging about 3.89 absorbed per minute. So because the sample size is so big with Grant and so small with Marcos, it's going to weight this down to 4.07 significant strikes per minute. If you feel like this fight goes the full 15 minutes, then you're going to be looking at 61 significant strikes for Daniel Marcos, and that's a 68.5. So that's a big number. I would probably bet the under on the Marcos over on the 68.5 significant strikes landed. But I would bet the over on the Vieira 50.5. I would bet the under on Muniz Craig 10 minutes, and I think that's at 7.5 minutes now, my friend. So you definitely beat the line there. And then Mikhail Stolyarenko under 12.5. I like that, but I still would like it more if I knew what Stolyarenko was going to look like on the scale. So I think that's something I would wait to bet until I saw Stolyarenko on the scale. Get that piece of information. But another one that I like for this week was Fares ZM under 14.75 minutes of fight time. That's the one that I have loaded up here on Prize Picks. But because I'm still doing all the programming here, it's like even though I have all the stats, I don't have the method to get them all in one place yet to analyze it in a way that I like to analyze these things. So I'm working on that still. So I don't actually have Prize Picks plays queued up for you, but this was the one I gave out on the DraftKings show today. And I thought there were some other good ones. My guy Gordo, Gordo's an assassin. If you guys don't know this dude, I mean, like he's a DraftKings killer, and his track bets are excellent. So my guy Gordo gave the fantasy score for Danny Roberts under 70.5. I kind of like that because I think that fight's about 50-50. And Danny Roberts, not much of a finisher. So he would need 50 points over, I would say, 15 minutes, 3.33. I don't know, man. He just doesn't land a lot of significant strikes. He's not very accurate, and Parsons is pretty defensively responsible. So, yeah, I like under 70.5 fantasy score, and I like under 106.5 fantasy score for Mahmoud Muradov. That's a tall order, and Barbereno's pretty durable, and it's not like Muradov is some volume monster. So he would need knockdowns and a first or second round finish in order to get that. So I think we could do Muradov less than 106.5. We could do Danny Roberts less than 70.5 fantasy score. And that's a 3-leg play that I like there. But I like the Muniz Craig under 10 minutes. I don't think we can get it there anymore. Can we? Fight time. Yeah, Muniz is at 7.5. So, and now the Molly McCann's at 11. So it looks like you beat a lot of line movement there. Marcos, significant strikes. Where's that one? Has that line moved as well? 68.5. Yeah, he's still there. And then the Vieira, 50.5. I like the Ketlin Vieira over 50.5 significant strikes as well. $20 to win 200 here. I think that's a pretty good play. I like it, Vic. I like it. I think the one I like the least is the Marcos over 68.5. True saying, anyone thinks UFC doesn't want Molly to win in the UK? I mean, like, unless, True, here's the thing. What if the UFC is desperate for an inroad to Lithuania? Just think about that, right? Like, we could find Modestas Bukauskas being a late-minute replacement on this card, and then Julia Stolyarenko goes out there and shocks the world against Meatball Molly McCann, and then UFC 294 is no longer in Abu Dhabi. It's in Lithuania with Bukauskas fighting for the 205-pound championship. Sorry. Yeah, I think they want Molly to win. I definitely think they want Molly to win. Kevin, can you break down what the stats say in regards to the striking dynamic between Ziam and Herbert, por favor? Yes, I can. So what's really interesting is the distance striking numbers. This is the part of the spreadsheet here that I feel like has the most value because, the distance striking numbers are often the most predictive because you can really strip out all the clinch, all the ground, and you really find out what their defense looks like in particular. And here's the thing, you guys. This is why I'm on the Fares Ziam money line here. You got a 54% distance striking defense for Jai Herbert, and he's been knocked down twice in 6 fights, and he's been knocked out twice in 6 fights in the UFC. So, that's bad distance striking defense. Fares Ziam is the absolute opposite here at 71% distance striking defense. You see these guys are throwing a similar amount of volume, 10.96 distance strikes attempted per minute at distance for Herbert, 10.37 for Fares. So Fares is about 7% more accurate on the feet. He's about 15% more or 16% more defensively responsible on the feet. He throws the same amount of volume and he lands more and he absorbs less. So technically on the feet, Fares Ziam is really good defensively because he moves well, because his jab is like a piston. And by a piston, I mean it goes out fast, but then it comes right back to his chin. So he's ready to be in a defensive position once the jab is landed. So everything that Fares does is very technically sound. He's a great prospect. He's still only 26 years old. But everything that Herbert does at range is very dangerous. He's fast. He's very, very fast. And he's got great kicks. He's got great speed up the middle with those punches. They're not these wide-ass Davy Grant hooks, you know. They're coming right down the middle, and they're slick and they're fast. And the kicks, he does really well because he's a 6'1" lightweight. You know, those kicks are great weapons too. So Fares is a very good counter striker as well. So I just kind of feel like because he's so good with the counter for SCM, because he's so defensively responsible, that he should be able to stay safe at range against Jai Herbert, land the shots that he normally lands, mix in the wrestling. I do see him getting the win here. You know, and not only that, he is 9 years younger than Jai Herbert, and that is statistically significant. You know, those fighters win about 65 to 70% of the time. So I do like Fares quite a bit here, and I think that distance striking accuracy, the distance striking defense, and the distance striking differential tell you all you need to know about who the minute winner will be. Who's going to land a big shot first? Maybe it could be Jai Herbert. You know, Jai Herbert has demonstrated power at the highest levels way more than Fares Ziam has. But keep in mind, Fares is still getting older. He's still growing. He's still growing into his game and adding tools to the toolbox. So yeah, I do see that striking defense at distance being the key to this fight, Kevin. Thomas Kane says Molly is played out. Not in London, she isn't. You know, and I think a lot of people called that cringe when she grabbed the belt and, you know, and I mean, and pranced around the cage after beating, you know, Luana Carolina. But it was a fun. I like Molly McCann. I like her a lot. She seems like a really fun girl. She's a good fighter, and she's always fired up, and she's a crowd pleaser, you know. So you know, I like Molly. I'm rooting for her. We'll see how it goes on Saturday. Let's see. Sharpie saying, I enjoy the voice made from the gods. Keep up the great work. I appreciate you, Sharpie. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, man. We got MMA prediction guru in the room saying, I wanted to bet the fight doesn't go to decision in the Molly fight, but the line sucks. Yeah, dude. So it was early in the week. I think you like my guy MMA Propaholic. I think he got the under 2.5 rounds at like minus 105. You know, he got it at a really good price, but it just got steamed. And let's see where it's at right now. Let's refresh this. Because, yeah, I mean, I want to bet violence there too, but the number is so important when you're trying to be a long-term winner. And, yeah, minus 150, you know, for an under 2.5 rounds. If we look at that on my prop template, you know, it was minus 140 earlier in the week. At minus 150, you know, you're talking about a 60% price on the line, but only 35.68% of women's flyweight fights that are 3 rounds actually finish under 2.5 rounds. And then you look at the fighters' performances, right? 4 of 10 McCann fights have went under 2.5 rounds, and 2 of 6 for Stoliarenko. So you add that up, it's 6 of 16. You know, it's like 3 of 8. It's 37.5%, and you're paying 60% on the line. So MMA prediction guru, you are correct, sir. That line sucks. So no reason to go chasing it. Just enjoy the fight. Find the lines that don't suck and bet those because, yeah, I mean, it'll probably cash, but it's all about the price that you're paying. And at that price, man, it's a bit of a ripoff. I'd rather bet the fight goes knowing that I'm getting a 19.4% discount. I'm also getting a 14.5% discount when I compare that 56% combined fight goes to decision rate, 9 of 16 fights, to the 41% price of the line. So it's a better plus EV bet on this side, but man, my butthole would be puckered waiting for 15 minutes for Molly McCann not to knock this girl out after making her first cut down to 125. So yeah, gonna stay away from that one, man. Kevin's saying they should ban replica championship belts in the O2 Arena just in case she gets the KO. That's hilarious, man. She definitely pranced around with that, man, and the crowd was going nuts. I was laughing my ass off during that. I mean, it was fun for me. Point Freud, Stoli has 1 armbar in the UFC. Outside current combined records of opponent armbar is 23 and 34 plus a 19 and 23 fighter. 0 of them have a winning record. I don't think she's armbarring a T-Rex either. And yeah, 62-inch reach for Molly McCann. So very hard to armbar, arms that short. It's an excellent point, Pink Floyd. We got, do you have an early lean for Bohio versus Ruzaboyev? Yeah, I mean, Bohio, I was not. I think Ruzaboyev, he's got a lot more to prove, man. I mean, that was a mean knockout. I'm high on Bruno Ferreira, though. So Bruno Ferreira is a guy that I thought was going to go in there and just absolutely destroy Ruzaboyev. And it was the other way around. It wasn't even close. Ruzaboyev murked him. So I don't exactly know what to think of Ruzaboyev. I was dead wrong on his first fight, but maybe he might be pretty good. But I mean, I think Caio Borralho is special. I think he's a very good fighter. He's a very smart fighter. So if there's something about Ruzaboyev's game that is not UFC level, Caio is going to find that weakness. He's going to exploit it, and he's going to win off of it. So, I mean, my early lean is that Borralho absolutely destroys him. But that's the thing, Ruzaboyev, this guy, I mean, he's very experienced, but against a very low level of competition. So he's still got a lot to prove here. Definitely would go with Borralho, but I'd have to see where that line is at. We got Chicken Dinner in the room saying, greetings, Weezy. Good to see you in here. Thank you for hanging out with us. We got Anakin Skywalker seeing Sean versus Izzy surprised me the most. From Izzy announcing it, I really wanted DDP to fight, but I hope he heals up. Yeah, it's weird to me, so DDP he wins this fight, which is supposedly a title eliminator. But the fight was just 2 weeks ago, and now they want him to fight again in September. It seems like a very short turnaround, especially for a title fight. So I think it's odd that they're kind of forcing DDP out of that, because they could probably just push it back to November, to the pay-per-view card in November, or the one in early December, and have the same result. I don't understand why they can't do that, but I know scheduling is a big thing. But yeah, and what's up with DDP? What is the injury? I didn't know that he was hurt. So yeah, I mean, that's a bummer for DDP because he earned that, man. He beat Robert Whittaker. I'd like to see him get that title shot because I think Izzy is going to be too much for Sean. I think that's going to be a very predictable fight, a kickboxer against a boxer, and really one of the best kickboxers ever in terms of maintaining range. So it'll just be about how Izzy deals with the pressure of Sean. But I mean, in a big cage, I think he'll do an excellent job of dealing with that pressure. So yeah, I hope DDP heals up quick. Best wishes to that dude. We got Justin J in the room saying, "Oi, Weezy in chat, howdy." We got Thomas Kane in the room saying, "Didn't know Priscilla was on that card. Her fights are must watch." Yeah, if she can get past the scale. She's had problems making flyweight, man. So hopefully she can start, dialing that in because I always enjoy her fights. She's one of my favorite female fighters. She always puts on a show. She really looks for the finish, which isn't something that a lot of women do and do successfully. But Priscilla is going out there trying to kill people. So yeah, I hope she comes back. And that fight against Maverick, she's going to have her wrestling defense tested for sure. We'll see if Miranda Maverick can get right. That could be a good bounce back spot for her if she could really work the wrestling and the grappling against Priscilla. She doesn't want to stand on the feet against the zombie girl. That girl hits hard. We got Gogo Flamingo saying, "I got Molly by KO at plus 120. KO round 1-2 is plus 215. She's a solid pick in London against a hand-picked opponent who's going to be half dead from the cut." Yeah, I mean, the narrative is what's driving this line here, especially on the Molly violence props, in my opinion. I mean, let's keep in mind that 6 of 10 Molly McCann fights have went to decision. She's not like this savage finisher. She's gotten lucky a couple of times. Hannah Goldie is not good. And Luana Carolina, that was a good fight actually up until she landed that spinning elbow. So yeah, I mean, I actually kind of think that the fight goes to decision at plus 140 is kind of a sharp play in a big cage, but I don't know. This line might just keep going and keep going and keep going because that narrative about Stoliarenko having a brutal weight cut before it's even happened, before you even see it happen, is really driving this price. So I'm going to keep an eye on the weigh-ins, obviously, on Friday. There's a lot of interesting weigh-ins. Paul Craig, Julius Stoliarenko. How does Brian Barberena going to look at 185? And were there any other weight class changes? I want to see how much bigger Andre Feely is than Nathaniel Wood. Let's see, Diakese Alvarez. That's a guy you got to watch weigh in. I mean, Alvarez has a murderous time trying to make 171. Pork and Pogues, Duncan Ashmos. Yeah, I think those are all the interesting weigh-ins. But yeah, that's going to be a hell of a fight. I just promised myself I wasn't going to do anything until I saw Julia on the scale. And then once I saw Julia on the scale, I would look at the lines and see what made sense. Rouses in the room, ring-a-ding-ding, you guys. The $5 donation, keeping the lights on here in your Uncle Weezy studio, saying, "Oi, Weezy, thoughts on this parlay?" Tom Aspinall inside the distance. Fight goes for Ketlin. Love it so far. Fight doesn't go to decision for Craig. Also, Mahmoud -3.5 spread is -160. Do you think that hits? So I do, because I think Mahmoud's going to finish him, actually. I just don't know how Brian's going to deal with 185. Taking those shots at 185 is completely different. When you're 170, it's a 15-pound difference. It makes all the difference in the world. Bigger, harder hitting guys. We're going to have to see how he deals with that. But that 3-leg parlay, Tom inside the distance, Ketlin for fight goes for Ketlin, and the fight doesn't go for Craig Muniz, I think is a beautiful 3-leg, very safe parlay. You're probably even getting a little bit of plus money on that. Big ups for that one. I think that's an excellent parlay. -3.5 at -160. I would be a little bit worried about him covering that if it did go the distance, but I think there's a high probability that Mahmoud finishes him, in which case you got him at -160 now instead of -300. That would be a difference of about 9% in implied probability. I don't think it's enough, dude. I wouldn't recommend the 3.5 point spread on Mahmoud. I don't like that at -160. We got Backstabber in the room saying, "What's up, Weezy? What's a live bet that you look back on that you're proud of making?" For me, it's getting +175 on Topuria versus Chai after the head kick. I don't really do live bets other than to sometimes just hedge out of a situation where I'm not having a great night and I want to lock in some profits. So like the best hedge that I ever did, I can remember watching a card, right? And it came down to the last 2 fights. And the co-main event was Carla Esparza versus Yan Xiaonan. I remember that. And I don't remember what the main event was. But I was having this great card, right? I had a 3-leg parlay on this was early in my gambling career when I was doing a lot more parlaying. I was playing a lot more juiced lines, right? But I was having this great card. But then at the end of the night, I realized I was like, holy shit, I still haven't won anything yet because it was parlays. And I was like, if the Carla Esparza fight finishes inside the distance, and if the underdog wins in the main event, I'm fucked. All my parlays fall apart. So I actually parlayed those 2 things to happen. I parlayed that the fight wouldn't go to decision for Yan Xiaonan versus Carla Esparza, and then Carla Esparza finishes her in the second round. And whatever the main event was on that card, we can find it. I'm going to search because I remember this. Esparza. So when Carla fought Yan, it was Font versus Garbrandt. And I don't know if I had Garbrandt. Whatever it was, I think I parlayed the Font money line and the Esparza fight doesn't go to decision just to make sure that both the things that weren't supposed to happen happened. and I wound up having actually a really good night and saving my night by having a hedge like that. But I'm usually on the Pub Sports Radio live stream. We talk about live betting there, but usually I don't dip my toes into the market because I'm on stream, and trying to multitask like that while I'm watching the fights is a little bit difficult. So I don't do a lot of live betting. But oh yeah, you got plus 175 on Tybura after the Jai head kick. That's a great spot. Congratulations on hitting that one, man. Usman in the room saying, "You mean to tell me that Molly McCann didn't win the UFC title that day?" No, it was a fake belt, it turns out, Usman. Who knew? But yeah, I mean, like, I thought that McCann, Luana Carolina, was for the belt, but evidently it wasn't. Jorge saying, "Oi, what up, Uncle Weezy? What do you think of my violence parlay? Under 2.5 rounds in McCann, under 2.5 in Parsons, under 2.5 in Filio, and the Yanao money line." Yeah, I mean, so the Yanao money line for me is it's kind of like a coin flip. I still feel like I'm missing a lot of information on Yanao Ashmos and how he's going to perform at this level. But the under 2.5 rounds in McCann, especially if Stoliarenko looks terrible on the scale, is good. I think, Parsons has had serious concussion problems, and Danny Roberts is very chinny. So I could definitely see that fight ending in under 2.5 rounds, but I could also see that neither one of those guys is good enough to finish the other, so that it could go the distance. Under 2.5 rounds in the Filio fight, I think that's a pretty good play because I think that when that fight goes to the ground, Filio is going to be very dangerous with his submissions, and Filio's got some power on the feet, and Daniel Barres is very talented on the feet. His boxing is good. He's got vicious low leg kicks. He digs to the body. He's got a lot of good weapons on the feet. So the ones I'd be most worried about would be the Yanao money line, especially with him being on the road, against local favorite Chris Duncan. And I would say the under 2.5 rounds in the Parsons fight, and just that, even though neither one of them is very good, they might not be good enough to finish the other. We got UFC Pick'em MMA bets in the room laughing. What's up, dude? Good to see you hanging out in here. We've got Sicky Does MMA saying Ruzaboyev is not good in my opinion. I don't know what that fight showed, man. Still can't get my head over his regional tape. I'd bet Ferreira again. I love the Ferreira side there. When Ruzaboyev slept and my jaw was on the floor, I honestly couldn't believe that happened. I always watch Brandon Olivas and Santino DeFranco every week. I really enjoy their show. And they were talking about when they watched Ruzaboyev's tape, I believe it was Brandon who was going, those fights look fixed. He's like, as somebody that does jujitsu, some of the positions that these guys were getting in, were positions that, like, if they had ever put on a gi and been past 2 weeks of jiu-jitsu training, they would have never reacted that way, and they would have never tapped to that weak of a submission attempt. So, yeah, I'd probably bet Ferreira again. I think that it's a fluke, and maybe we might be able to get a decent opener on Bohio because Ruzaboyev has got a little bit of recency bias. He's got a little bit of momentum. I was just shocked that was the result of that fight. They won't move the fight because they want Izzy to fight in Australia. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's true. Then they won't move the fight because that's where the card is. Yeah. So it's stuck now. You got to just find the next in line. God damn it. That's rough. That's really rough for Drekus, though. Because I feel like he earned it, man. He earned it. Gogo Flamingo. Aspinall Tybura under 1.5. Love it. Craig Muniz, fight doesn't go to decision. Love it. Davey Grant money line. I'm going to be betting that at some point, or the Grant finish only prop. Muradov money line. He's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Love that. We got Bobby King Green money line. Yeah, over El Kukui. Sure. Spivak money line. By the way, I just bet him for 2 units today at plus 165 against Serial Gone. Yeah, how the hell is he plus 165? Gone couldn't wrestle his way out of a paper bag. I mean, Spivak's going to throw him around. And then not only that, like the guys that Spivak's had problems with are hard hitters. They're like one-punch knockout artists. Serial Gone's going to dance around the cage and try to point fight. dude, Spivak's going to walk him down, take him down. And then once he is down, I don't think he's getting back up. I think Spivak's going to get to a dominant position, and I think he's going to pound him out, man. Love Spivak. $10 to win 600. Remove your 2 least favorite picks. I mean, the Davy Grant money line. Dude, I love that parlay. Don't remove any lines, because you got 4 really solid picks in there in the Aspinall Tybura under 1.5. It would be shocking if it went over that. Craig Muniz fight doesn't go to decision. That would be shocking if that went the distance. It'd be shocking if El Kukui could beat anybody in the UFC at this point. So Bobby King Green picks him apart from range. I think Spivak throws around Cyril Gane like it's nothing. I think Davy Grant at this price is ridiculous. He's like plus 130 on DraftKings right now. So, I mean, I like that a lot. These are good line. I mean, I'm not removing anything from that, Gogo. $10 to win 600. Just give me $5 of it when you win. That's all I ask, baby. That's a great one. And you know what? Don't give me $5. I'm putting money on that. I'm putting $10 to win 600 on that. Let's go. Hannah Goldie is not good. Are you fucking kidding me? Unfollowing her on IG. Yeah, she's not good, man. I mean, so yeah, I mean, what he's supposed to do with those wins, you know? They don't mean a whole lot. We got to figure out where Stolyarenko is on weigh-in day, and then we can really have a discussion about that fight. What's up, Monk? My guy in here helping me out with my fucking Excel coding problem. Saved it today. Now I've got that dynamic code ready to go. So we're going to finish up this project tomorrow, hopefully, or maybe Friday. And then hopefully we'll have a prize picks template for you guys for next week for the pay-per-view card. I'm really looking forward to that. And my guy Monk helping make it happen. What's up, dude? We got Hyena 95 in the room saying, why is Aspinall fighting down the rankings? Is he cherry picking? Oi, 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 says Hyena 95. No, he's not, man. He's been away for a year. He had a knee reconstruction. You know, they wanted him to headline the London card. So that the timing was right. He was going to be ready. He could have a full camp on that reconstructed knee. He could headline the London card. And these are the heavyweights that are available right now. And I think it's good to ease him back in because he is coming off a loss. And even though that loss wasn't his fault, you know, he's coming back from an injury. And don't forget, you guys, don't count out Marcin Tybura. He's won 7 of his last 8 fights. The guy's good. He's a good minute winner. He's solid everywhere. He's fairly durable. And he fights a lot. He stays very active. So Tybura is no joke. You know, but I think it's a great bounce back opportunity here for Tom Aspinall, and they can get the London fans what they want, a win over a ranked opponent. So I think this is what the UFC wants. I think this is what Aspinall wants. And I think for Tybura, it's a tremendous opportunity to climb the rankings. We got Killer Miller in the room saying it's weird that Paul Craig is moving down in weight. For what reason? I don't know. I don't know why Paul Craig is moving down. It's a 20-pound weight cut. And at this point, Paul is what, 35? 35 years old, you know? So it's a lot to ask to add that now to your fight preparation, in addition to the camp and all that stuff. It's a lot to ask. So I really do think that that's a bad idea. I don't know why he's doing it, but maybe, you know, he thinks he can have more luck at 185, I guess. I don't know. Daz Files is in the room saying, "Oh, good card, great summer." Definitely. This is a great summer here in Chicago. It's been hot these last couple of days, but I don't care about that. Great summer, great London card, 15 fights. Really fired up for this one. Do I think Jeff Neal is a good bet? Excuse me. So Jeff Neal is fighting Ian Gary. It depends on what the line is. I don't even know what event that is at. Definitely not that one. So Okay. It's not that one. Sterling versus O'Malley. Nothing there. Nothing there. Yeah, I don't know if he's a good bet because I don't know what the line is. Sicky Does MMA is in the room. I like Muradov by sub if the odds are juiced. Yeah, I mean, because I think he is going to take this guy down. I think he's going to take Barberena down. Barberena does not have good submission defense, does not have a good ground game. And that's what's really weird is like, dude, if you didn't like the wrestling at 170, you're going to hate it at 185, you know? So I don't get it, man. I don't know what the hell is going on here, but yeah, I mean, I think it's Muradov by however he wants it. That's why he's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. I think there's a lot of factors that are standing in Brian Barberena's way here in terms of him being able to get a victory. We got Muradov with Aspinall. Doesn't start round 3. Parlay minus 125. I think that's great. I think that's a great number. Go for it, man. That's a solid bet there. We got True in the room saying, I'm nuts. I think Tony can beat Green. That would be wild if he did. But my guy True is a sharp. He knows what he's doing. So maybe I'll have to look more into that. But I mean, I think Green's still fighting at a really high level. And it's hard to know about Tony, you know, just because Tony's just had such a decline that it's hard to picture him, you know, regaining any of that old form. And, you know, Tony was never a guy that was going out there and dominating from the early bell. He was a guy who worked his way into fights, turned up the gas as they went on, and just kind of, you know, attrition. He won by attrition. He was so durable. You know, you could hit him with everything you had, and he was going to still keep coming forward, and eventually he would just break dudes. So I don't know if that, you know, against somebody as fast and as precise as Green, I don't know if that kind of style is going to work because Green is so hard to find. And it's not like Tony's getting any quicker at this point. So I think Green makes it look easy. But, man, if True's saying it, I don't know, man. I'm going to have to look more into it. We got the Golden Octagon in the room saying, oi, what's up, Weezy and chat? Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Sicky saying, thoughts on Chiesa plus 135 versus Holland. I'm probably going to be betting that. Yeah. I mean, Holland has always had problems with grapplers, and Chiesa is not going to stand and strike with him. So plus 135, we love finding those plus money lines where the plus money's got a path to victory, and there's a glaring path to victory for a fighter like Chiesa. I mean, if he could do it to Neil Magny, he could do it to fucking Kevin Holland. So, yeah. I mean, plus money, I was looking at that a while ago. I think he was even bigger plus money a while ago. I think it makes a lot of sense, but, you know, Chiesa might be done. It's been a while since we've seen prime Michael Chiesa, so, you know, you're also kind of hoping that, like, oh, shit, is he just showing up for a check here? Because I think that might be a possibility, but I think if, you know, the Michael Chiesa that we all know and love shows up, I mean, it's a good fight for him. Squad shit saying DK has Molly by KO, Stoliarenko by sub at minus 175. Was not expecting anything under minus 250. Yeah, that's interesting. Minus 175 would be in the neighborhood of like a 64% implied probability. So you have to, and then they're giving you plus 140 on the fight goes to decision, which is 41 or 42%. Yeah, it's an all right line. It's bettable. You know, I think those are probably their best win conditions, but I could also see the fight going to decision as well if Stoliarenko shows up in shape and looks good at 125. We got my guy Paku with the $5 donation saying, hey, Weezy, I'm building a safe 2-leg parlay this week. Aspinall money line and Kulabau versus Murphy over 2.5 at minus 110. Let's look at the numbers on the Kulabau Murphy over 2.5 rounds here. There we go. So the over 2.5 rounds earlier in the week was listed at minus 200. 3 of 5 fights for Laron Murphy have went over 2.5 rounds, and 3 of 5 fights for Culibao have went over 2.5 rounds. So it's a 60% total. 6 of 10 of their fights have went. So you're actually overpaying a little bit at minus 200 on that one. Laron Murphy is a very good finisher, as is Culibao. However, I don't think that either one of them has been finished. I mean, Laron Murphy's never lost, and Culibao has lost, but he's never been finished at 145. I'm missing a little bit of information about how potentially durable both of these guys would be. Now, we know that Laron Murphy's been shot 3 times, once in the head. And not only did he live through it, but he's still a mixed martial artist. So we know that Laron Murphy is probably very, very durable. Culibao as well. I mean, he got finished by Jalen Turner, but that was up a weight class on short notice. I mean, I think it hits. I think it hits Paku. Especially the Aspinall money line. I mean, I love that. I mean, I kind of feel like injury is like the only way that Tybura wins that fight, or like Aspinall just has 6 minutes of gas and that's it. And if he doesn't get him out of there in 6 minutes, then Tybura will still be there. But yeah, I think it hits. I think that's a good one, man. We got the Golden Octagon saying, I'm glad you're back this week, Weezy. My 3-leg this week. Mahmoud finish. I like it. Molly KO 1 and 2. Tom 1, 2, 3. Nothing wild, but plus 3 something. Yeah, I mean, I would worry about everyone thinks that Molly's going to come out here and KO this girl right away. The thing is, we still need that scale information. But if it looks like as bad as a lot of people anticipate it's going to look, then that probably hits. And at plus 300, that's good. I like it because I like Mahmoud inside the distance, even though Brian's a tough out. And I think that Tom Aspinall in 1, 2, 3 is, I mean, easily his best way to win. We got Michael Panza saying, what's good, Weezy? Thoughts on Aljo being a minus 250 favorite against O'Malley? Yeah, I mean, Aljo's just gonna have to try to get to his back, right? I mean, like that's kind of what he does. But if he doesn't out wrestle Sean, you know, it's going to be a close fight, but you got to beat the champ to be the champ. So, you know, it's always good to bet on the champion unless you think that they're going to get finished. And yeah, I mean, I think that that's probably a pretty good line. I think it's probably a pretty good line. But, you know, who knows what Sean O'Malley is going to bring? I mean, can he stop the takedowns? He showed really good wrestling defense in a get-up game against Jan. But, I mean, I know that Aljo is on a different grappling level than Peter Yan. Yeah, I think it's a fair line. I don't think either one of them is out of line at that price. Killer Miller saying Muradov fought like a scrub against Mearshart. I can't trust him. Yeah, go back and watch that first round. He beat the fuck out of Mearshart. He just beat the fuck out of that dude. Mearshart's just tough. He's tough. And he kind of gassed out trying to finish him, but he was landing heavy shot after heavy shot after heavy shot. I don't think a lot of guys would have been able to take that kind of punishment from Muradov in round one. So, I can't. I mean, he's not the most trustworthy guy in the world, but what the hell is Brian Barberena doing up at 185? I mean, that is a massive red flag. That's a bigger red flag than anything you're going to see from Mahmoud Muradov on tape, in my opinion. Killer Miller saying Bobby Green is too old. Jared Gordon was piecing him up. I don't know about that. I mean, Green was winning that fight, in my opinion, but Jared Gordon's a pretty good boxer. He is a pretty good boxer. If you look at his distance striking stats, Jared Gordon, they're very impressive. He throws a lot of volume. He's accurate. He's just a little bit chinny. That's the problem. Andre Miller in the room saying, I'm laying some money on Stipe plus 350. Yeah, dude, there's nothing wrong with that, man. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how he handles that because Stipe can actually wrestle. So now we're going to see, you know, how does John Jones' striking still look? You know, he doesn't just get to go in there and deal with, you know, a guy with no grappling whatsoever. Grasso is plus 200. What do you think against Against Shevchenko? Against who? Okay, let's see. Usage Jones. Is it again? I mean, I'm guessing it's against Shevchenko. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm completely sold on Grasso yet, but she is the champion. It's probably a pretty good line. Women's underdog are good bets. Muradov got fraud checked by Mearshart. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Mearshart got the shit beaten out of him for the entire first round and lasted. Matt, Kulabov by decision and Filio to win plus 650. Yeah, I mean, like, because you're not, that's Kulabov's best win condition, I think. Yeah, not bad, dude. I'm picking Filio to win. I'm picking Laron Murphy to win, but I think that Murphy fight's going to be very close. Christian Jenkins, any prize picks plays? Yeah, I put this one together earlier on the show. For SZM, less than 14.75 fight minutes. Mahmoud Muradov, less than 106.5 fantasy score. Danny Roberts, less than 70.5 fantasy score. And Ketlin Vieira, more than 50 and a half significant strikes. $20 to win 200 is what I'm going with this week, Christian. We got Gogo Flamingo saying at Killer Miller, Green didn't really look good. Got good against the Flash, but he has looked great in his last few fights, even ones he lost. I think he didn't take him seriously. And that could be. Sicky in the room saying Stipe is getting ran through, in my opinion. You could tell Stipe and DC weren't the same in that last fight. And Stipe is even older now. Jones prime for prime even destroys Stipe. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's one of those things. It probably won't be a fight that I have money on because we haven't seen Stipe in forever. Like, what, 2 years, 3 years at this point? And even John Jones. There's been one fight in the last 3 years. So we're missing so much information. It's fights like that people start betting on narratives. And when you're betting on narratives, man, it's a bad situation all around. We got Gogo saying, can we get a few words of the ill-begotten fate of the friend of the show, Cody Brundage? I saw so much potential in him. Heavy hands, great grappling. Been a fan since the Maximov fight. Is he cut? I think he is. Oh, fuck. I don't know, dude. I don't know if Cody's cut or not. I don't think I saw that he was cut, but I might be wrong. Yeah, so Cody just made some really bad decisions, dude, in terms of jumping for guillotines, especially against Rodolfo Vieira. You don't ever want to be underneath that dude. He was doing so well in that fight. And then he took the Dumas fight on short notice. And, yeah, he got a takedown early. But then he's, like every time he just jumps for that fucking guillotine. And it's such a low IQ move because, like my man Liam says, Liam picks fights. He talks about, there's good guillotines and bad guillotines. The bad ones are the ones where you land flat on your back because it's a mixed martial arts fight. But if you go to a hip and then you can get to your mount, you can use that to either just keep the position or try to finish the submission. And Cody just doesn't seem to have that type of a guillotine. He really trusts his guillotine, and it's cost him. It's cost him really badly in these last couple of fights, especially that Dumas fight. But, it just didn't look like he was ready for the Dumas fight. He took it on short notice, and, Cedriques came out looking a hell of a lot better than he did against Friend, and bad performance. We'll see what's next for Cody. I don't know what's next for Cody, but I really wish him the best, because him and his wife, they've got a special needs child. They're great parents, you could tell. So I want the best for them. He's a really cool guy. He's given us his time more than once to interview him. So, I wish him the absolute best. We got Vulgar Sports Channels in the room saying a fashionably late. Oh, what's up, dude? We got True saying Jones doesn't lose. Yes, he does not lose. That is true. Sicky does MMA. Betting against Jones at this point is free money for the bookies. And it definitely has been. Boob in the room saying Grasso is a fluke champ who gets way too much credit. Yeah, I mean, it was a close fight. She got the win. We'll see what happens next time around. I mean, because when you looked at the wins that Shevchenko had prior to that, you're like, shit, man, like title challengers are Lauren Murphy and Jessica I and Caitlin Chukagian, there was also a chance that Valentina wasn't that good, just because when you looked at who she was beating when she was champion, it was like, fuck, these are not good fighters. It's like the whole division isn't that great. So, we might have overrated Valentina Shevchenko just a little bit due to the fact that she was, the top of the shit heap, but now that shit heap is, it's Alexa Grasso on top of it. So, but there are a lot of good young fighters now in 125, like Blanchfield. Manfiro is not exactly young, but you got Tatiana Suarez is up at 125 now. So now there's some sharks in the pond. So we're going to see what happens. I don't think it's really the Grasso-Shevchenko fight that's really going to determine the future of that division. It's going to be, who's winning the fights between Taylor Santos and Blanchfield and Firo and Suarez. I think those are going to be and even Tracy Cortez. So it's going to be an interesting division going forward. We got Sicky in the room saying Muradov improved his grappling massively versus Kyle. Great to see, to be honest. Yeah, I agree, man. He even took down Kyle a couple of times, and I was like, Mahmoud, what are you doing, man? You're the better boxer, dude. Box this dude. But yeah, he's been mixing in that grappling. It's interesting to see. Buttercup saying, I saw an interview where Brian Barberena said Muradov has a weak chin. Well, good luck finding it. He might have a weak chin. I mean, like, Muradov's been finished. Let's see. Muradov, he's been subbed 4 to... Yeah, he's got 8 losses. He's been knocked out once, and he's a middleweight. So while Brian Barberena has been a welterweight his whole life, he's got to understand that even though he thinks Muradov might have a weak chin, Muradov's been hit by much bigger and stronger men than Brian Barberena. So I don't know how that's going to all work out for him. We'll see. Bobby Green is good, but he never beats anybody by a large margin. It might be close between him and Tony. And yeah, that could be. That absolutely could be. Boob saying Barberena has weak punches. He's not a power guy. I mean, he does have 0.52% knockdowns. So he's got 6 knockdowns in 17 fights, and he's got 4 knockout wins in 9 fights. So he does hit hard, but he's more of an attritional guy. He's not going out there starching hose in the first round. Chicago Stunner in the room saying my uncle Robert Watley is coming back to fight for CFFC title this weekend, and he will be in the UFC soon. Please tune in. I know Robert Watley. I know that name. And he's going to be fighting for the CFFC. Robert Contact Watley, 12-3 out of Maryland. Who have I seen Robert Watley fight? Oh, that's right. He lost to Will Brooks back in 2018. Jerome Featherstone in Shogun fights. He lost to Chris Wade. Wins over Thiago Tavares, Brandon Jenkins, Thiago Moises. Yeah, dude. Shout out Robert Watley. Let's fucking go. Charlotte Hall, Maryland. Stand up. Going to be going for the CFFC championship against Cedric Gunnison, 6-1, CFFC 122 on July 20th. Wait, that's tomorrow. It's actually today because it's after midnight in Chicago. Yeah, that's cool, man. Good luck to Robert Watley. We got MMA's biggest fan 23 saying, what do you think about Aspinall, Molly, and Ziam parlay? Like I've been saying the whole show, like I'm not doing anything with the Molly fight until I see Julia weigh in. But I like Ziam a lot. I parlayed Ziam with Mahmoud Muradov earlier in the week to get plus 130, but I think that might be minus money now. But yeah, I like it. I think all 3 of them win. I would just be a little bit worried if Stoliarenko shows up and one of the first to weigh in and it's at 125. Then I'd be like, okay, could be interesting. I don't know if I trust Aspinall or Muradov with these odds. There's nothing wrong with not trusting them at these odds, Matt, because they are wide fucking odds. And you got a guy in Aspinall who's a heavyweight. Those are high variance fights at heavyweight. And you got a guy in, he's fighting a durable, well-tested guy like Marcin Tybura. And what do you call it? With Muradov, who knows? Who knows? He's not a world beater. He's beaten some okay guys at the UFC level, so we'll see how it goes. But I mean, I think they both win, but the odds are always what matter. Chicago Stun is saying Rob has beaten Pat Sabatini and Thiago Moises already. He's ready. Yeah, and it's a long layoff for Watley as he hasn't fought since 2019. So, I mean, it's almost a 4-year layoff. But how old is he? Born in 1989. So he'd be 34, 33 years old. Okay, very cool. Yeah, the fight is tomorrow. Yes, sir. Vulgar Sports Channel saying, I'm the only one that is concerned about Aspinall, it feels. If he's 100%, he taps out to Burrow, to be honest. But something putting me off about him coming back from injury. Yeah, we'll have to see. That's part of it. We're going to get that information about how he looks, not until he steps into the cage. He can say whatever he wants. We're going to find out for real once he gets into the cage. Molly by TKO or Julia by sub, alt double chance. I hate those bets. I don't do those bets, those double chance. Like they juice the shit out of them. Each fighter's best win condition, and you could probably do an equal bet, like find whatever book you have that has Molly by KO, find whatever book you have that has Julia by sub, do an arbitrage calculator to find out how much you need to put on each. And you do, if you want to do a 1-unit bet, you do 1 or X and 1 minus X as your placeholders to find out how much you put on each. And I'll bet you anything. Whatever these guys are offering you on that line, if you were to just go out and spread it on the 2 best prices on your books, you'd get an even better line. We got Gogo saying, Grasso is the first one to make Valentina look human since Nunez. All rounds were close. Yes. Sicky saying, Firo versus Rose is the fight, by the way, versus Weezy. Okay, it's Santos versus Blanchfield. Weird matchmaking, to be honest. I'd assume whoever has the best performance gets the shot. Yeah. That's good, man. Firo versus Rose, and then Santos versus Blanchfield. I think those are 2 really. So Rose is moving up, huh? Very interesting. Barb is definitely a volume guy. Yes, he is. Andre saying Barberena knocked down Leon Edwards. Yes, he did. Sicky saying Suarez is fighting Andrade at 115. She moved back down. Oh, shit, that's right. She took the 125 fight just as a comeback fight and then went and fought Montana De La Rosa, and now she said she was going to move back down. Okay, thanks for the heads up, man. Appreciate that. Usman saying, I think Suarez could be triple champ if she wants. She might, man. Robert Watley is a lock, says Vulgar Sports Channel. Pick'em, UFC Pick'em MMA bet saying, I got a $65 Hail Mary for $8,600, 8-leg parlay. Nathaniel Wood, Molly McCann, Tom Aspinall, Davey Grant, Danny Roberts, Mark Diakese, LaRon Murphy, and Jai Herbert. I would worry the most about Jai Herbert. I'm very high on Fares Ziam. I think the LaRon Murphy fight is going to be very close. Diakese, obviously we know that there's a path to victory there for Alvarez. Alvarez is the favorite, but I'm picking Alvarez to win the fight, but I actually have a bet on fight goes to decision, which for me is kind of like a bet on Diakese, because I feel like if Diakese has his way, the fight goes the full 3 rounds. So yeah, man, I think it's really good, dude. I'm going to be betting Davey Grant. I picked Danny Roberts to win. I picked Nathaniel Wood to win. Yeah, I think it's a great spot. Appreciate the tips each week. I appreciate you hanging out, man. Andre Miller, Tybura cost me a lot against Romanov. Yeah, Tybura made me a lot against Romanov. I had the plus 350 on Tybura there. Less than 1 year is short for an ACL. Yeah, it's about 1 year, like 10 months, I think. But yeah, he said he had been having problems with that knee for years. So maybe it might even be a good thing that he got it reconstructed, and now he might even be a better version of himself. So we'll see. We got he might not be ready yet. There's a chance he might not be ready. Sorry, I'm late, says Margin Magic Marlin. Just saying everything I watch on Bannon looks good. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, it's against bad competition, but we're gonna find out if that Taekwondo base is gonna be useful up at this level. But I mean, it looked okay to me. I mean, it looked all right to me, but I heard a lot of other people saying that she's trash and her striking's ass. And, you know, I mean, it's the women's strawweight division. Who's got good striking? Really? I mean, Marina Rodriguez, Yan Xiaonan. Outside of that, it's a bunch of bums. You know, Zhang Wei Li. I mean, of course, but, you know, there's not a lot of good striking in any women's division. So, Shauna might be UFC level. We'll find out. We're gonna have to find out on Saturday. We're do the line shopping on that shot or best no distance odds for co-main event. Chicago Stunner, thanks for the shot. Oh yeah, of course, man, absolutely, dude. What the fuck is a double chance bet? That means that it could be either they'll say like a double chance is like for instance an inside the distance bet. It's Davy Grant to win by knockout or submission. So if they get the knockout, you win. If they get the submission, you win. And they just kind of combine the odds together for it. Why did Firo sit out so long? She's hurt. I don't know what she hurt. I think it might be her knee, but that's why she's sat out for so long. Yeah. Stay putting in work. Hell yeah, man. Brandon, thanks for hanging out in here. We're always putting in work, baby. Vulgar saying Davy Grant is an effing legend. Yeah, and I think I'm going to get him at plus 130, or I'm going to go with the finish only prop at plus 100. I think they're both really good looks. Good luck this weekend, Weezy. Appreciate the work you put in for the community and trying to help people make some money. Let's get it. Let's go, man. We got Killer Miller saying Bruna Brazil will dominate Bannon. She is horrible. We're going to find out on Saturday. Sports Fanatic Gibbs saying, I play FanDuel Alliance. Who do you think has the highest ceiling? Well, I mean, I think that Joel Alvarez could have a high ceiling. I think that Tom Aspinall can have a high ceiling. Let's see. I think Nathaniel Wood could have a high volume, high ceiling. Daniel Marcos, Davy Grant, I think is a good fight to target. I think it's going to be a striker's delight. A lot of significant strikes landing. And when you're looking for good fights, look at the significant strike props. Like Ketlin Vieira could be a sneaky play at 50.5. Daniel Marcos at 68.5. I mean, that's a fight you should be going after. Wood, McCann in the 70s. Those are ones. And then you look at the fantasy points, and you can kind of see on Prize Picks, you can see, from top to bottom who's like projected for a lot. Muradov's projected for a lot. Joel Alvarez is projected for a lot. Muniz is projected for a lot. McCann, Aspinall, Wood, all projected for a lot. So I think there's some good spots there. Vulgar Sports Channel saying Umar pulled out of the fight as well. Yep. Both Nurmagomedovs pulled out. Him and Saeed both pulled out today. So that sucks. Fareed Basharat. See, like right now, like people were saying, like, yeah, there's nobody in the top 10 that's really ready. I think Adrian Yannis is the only one that's in the top 10 or top 15 right now that's without a fight. But the thing is, like, it's bantamweight. There's like fucking 40 fighters that are really good in this division. You could call anybody down the line and find some of these guys, that'll show up. Barcelos, the Basharat brothers, there's some really, really good bantamweights. So it'd be good to get somebody some shine and give them a fight and let them, show out on that card. There are some really good names in this bantamweight division who could step up and take that fight. So we'll see if Fareed would be a good one, man. So would Javid. And ring a ding ding. My guy Victor De Jesus with the $10 donation saying, Weezy, your time and effort are appreciated. Thank you for all the info you provide. Help us stack tickets like flapjacks Let's go, Vic. I think that's a great way to end it tonight. We're an hour and a half in, 30 of you hanging out live. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment down below, even if it's just to say oi. And please consider joining the Patreon so that you can get access to these incredible stats on the prop template, on the advanced stats where we have the heat map, where you know that not only do you know that Brian Barberena lands 6.9 significant strikes per minute at distance, but that it's 2.79 above the divisional average. And we have all of these stats compared against the divisional averages. $10 a month for the advanced stats, $20 a month for the prop template. And the prop template includes the advanced stats. So it's a great value. It's a great way to support my work here. And I truly appreciate everybody that's on the Patreon, guys like Victor De Jesus, like True, like a bunch of you that are here in the room today. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Vulgar Sports Channel saying, yes, sir, I love watching the shows. Vic saying both Nurmagomedovs pulled out. Fuck, I'm going to be there live. I was looking forward to that main event. Yeah, they're going to have to find some replacements, man. That's going to be a great card there in Nashville. There are some great fights in the middle of that card, but they got to get a fucking main event. It can't be Tatiana Suarez versus Jessica Andrade. That is not main event worthy. Gogo saying, you're the man, Weez Dog. Thanks as always. Dad saying Park and Pogue's fight goes to decision is plus 120 sloppy fest fight to skillness finish level. Thanks, Weezy and Chad. Yeah, I think that one could definitely go to decision, especially if Pogues is the one that's, kind of like pushing the pace in that fight because he is more of a decisionator. And Vulgar saying, bro, look at the people parking his face. There's one dude on there that makes me crack up. Yeah, dude, there's the 0-23 guy. There's the guy that he beat in his first fight where the guy faked like he was hurt and fell down. It was hilarious. These guys that park and fight were bums. And Go saying, hammer the like button, peeps, and good luck. Let's go, everybody. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC London. Thank you so much for everybody that hung out. Thank you for all the donations. Thank you, everybody that's on the Patreon. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe on your way out. And I'll see you guys on Friday for the Greasy 4-Leg Parlay for UFC London. Thank you so much, everybody. We will talk to you guys soon. Good night.